bosses don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on?
Let's throw a sweepstakes.
Remark sweepstakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what exactly yet, but I miss the spirit of sweepstakes.
True. Like
Remember
the
how there
Dannables,
yes.
cruise with Zach and Cody or whatever.
Dude, I wanted it so bad.
True.
Like I feel like there's not sweepstakes anymore.
Yeah, people don't go all in like they used to.
They don't. They don't sweep. They don't stake.
Yeah, no, true. They don't do any of that. Yeah, we should. Let's spitball. We could be on a remarks episode.
Mm-hmm. Just hang out with us for a day.
Like
chill.
Just vibe.
Here's what we're gonna do. You chill, drink beers with us, and watch a shitty movie.
True.
Perhaps like a disaster movie
Perhaps.
or something, or like a really bad like campy horror movie.
I love it.
And how we're gonna do it is we put like little golden tickets in cucumber lime Gatorades.
We Willy Wonka their asses.
We Willy Wonka on the asses. But we like break into I guess we don't break in, but we could just like walk in to a bunch of 7-Elevens, but we break into the cucumber lime Gatorades.
True.
And just put like a piece of paper in it, and it gets all wet and fucked up. and that's the sweepstakes.
That's and then you just like accidentally drink the weird golden paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we could laminate them.
I think I've talked about this probably on the last 2 episodes, but I listened to another podcast about the Tylenol murders.
Yes, dude.
And I didn't realize that was like the point in which like food contamination like became like a big thing, like because there was that like TikTok trend for a while where people would like lick the ice cream, and like it was like a felony to do that, and it's because of the Tylenol like murders,
right? And I think that's when like safety seals became added to packages and stuff.
Yeah, like if it was a broken seal, you could like take it back and be like, hey, don't, or I guess you would just know not to
grab that one or whatever.
Which is like, what a crazy fucking case, by the way. That's
truly wild.
So insane.
Wild. Yeah. Do you remember Devious Licks? This was happening,
I don't recall.
I think like 2021 maybe. I was thinking about this the other day and I couldn't remember what it was called, but it was a trend where kids in like middle school, high school, whatever, would steal stuff from their school, and it got like so out of hand that kids were stealing like sinks off the walls in the bathrooms.
Because like hitting a lick, like
exactly,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
and so they would call it Devious Licks, and then obviously everyone was getting in huge trouble.
Yeah,
and like literally there was one where these kids like stole the stalls for the bathroom, like stole like the walls and doors in the bathroom. And then kids started doing angelic yields, and so they would like bring stuff to the school, like paper towels and like soap, and they're like, "This is our angelic yield."
Bro, it's wild. It's funny, and also like I feel bad for teachers sometimes, but like just the way that what the internet has turned the youth into, like I would be so fucking over it if I like taught high school and I just like had these kids being like, Mr. Lacey got skibbity what the fuck. I'd be like, dude, I'm just trying to teach you history, man. Like we're talking about Napoleon. I don't know.
Can we please we gotta introduce the show, but I was hanging out with friend of the pod Emily and another friend of the pod Chris the other night, and we sat because I believe it was Chris who was asking us like, what does skibbity mean? And me and Emily were trying to explain it. I just was not computing.
It wasn't clicking,
and so we sat down and we watched like an hour of skibbity toilet videos. And let me tell you, it gets crazy.
Emily was also telling me a little bit about this, but there's like a whole plot. I didn't realize there was like a storyline to Skibbity.
Storyline. I was like actually enthralled. After like 5 videos, I was like, wait, this is like shit's going down, because it's like the Skibbity toilets are like fighting the guy, like speaker head guys, and then there's like TV head guys. It's wild.
That's crazy.
It's wild. This is Remarks.
We're a podcast. Not usually about Skibbity Toilet, but
today.
Sometimes.
Yeah. someday there will be like a skibbity toilet. I'm not going to put that out into the universe. That's me knocking on wood. I hope that nothing ever happens crazy that has to do with skibbity, but I don't know. Maybe there will be like skibbity toilet murders or something.
Yeah, skibbity toilet cult or something that we can cover in October.
Yeah, I'm not manifesting that, but
yeah, I know it's that's insane. And I was a big proponent of the like TikTok trend of people turning songs into like whatever like weird lingo songs, like
yes,
just of like Rizzler, skibbity, like you're a Rizzler, and you gots to fire.
So you're going to Ohio. So fucking funny. I'm Phoebe.
I am Taylor.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff.
We're talking murders today in a way.
We're talking assassinations.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's
double assassination.
Double assassinations. Yeah, the first time I typed out assassinations, I didn't realize there was literally two asses.
Two asses right at the front.
I was like, damn.
The way I like it.
I love a good ass in the front, you know. And
double assed up.
A little double ass in the morning.
Who doesn't, man? Who
doesn't?
Yeah, in light of the recent attempt on Mr. 45.
True. Donald Jimbo Trump. I want to bring back that trend of just like making up a middle name for him every time, like Donald
Jumbo
Jockstrap
Trump.
So true.
Yeah. Also, new Democratic candidate just dropped.
Yeah,
bro.
It's insane, man. Like
this election has been crazy.
We're living in like make-believe fairy tale times.
No, that's
dude.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like shit literally feels so wild. Like this feels like, I don't know, I never watched House of Cards, so actually I don't know what happens at all in House of Cards, but this feels like a House of Cards episode if that's what happens in House of Cards.
But it's almost like even like trashier than that. It almost feels like politics is like a bad reality show now, you know? Like they like cut to confessionals and they're like talking shit on each other and like I don't know,
Kamala's like, I just think that Donald Trump is a little crazy.
Yeah, he's like, honestly, I cannot believe he said that to me.
Yeah. I can't get over Joe Biden tweeting, I'm sick, to announce that he had COVID. And that's literally it. He tweeted the words, I'm sick. Yeah. And then tweeting, or zeeting, I should say, his removal from the race. Yeah. Tweeting it from like almost like Notes app style.
It's crazy. Yeah. His Note app's apology for dropping out of the election.
What is happening in this country?
It's
and the fucking brat coconutification of fucking Kamala, which I'm like, I have been waiting for people to catch on to the coconut tree thing. I thought that was the funniest shit I had ever heard. And finally, it's been like a year since she said that. And I'm like, yeah, it's about time, guys. Literally. That was gold. That was meme gold. And now you're getting it.
We had talked about it, but like, I really don't like the like wine auntie-ification of Kamala Harris. Cause like, I mean, she's a cop and a real bad person.
Yeah,
and
she really is.
Liberals are eating it up like, oh, she's so fun. She's going to be such a slay queen. And it's like, I get it. I mean, again, having a woman of color in the Oval Office would be sick. But again, there's better choices.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
But there won't be. You know what I mean? I mean, there will never be a better choice because somebody who would be a better choice is not going to get to that position.
True. And yeah, it's like you also just have to be kind of an insane war criminal to want to be the president, right? Like,
exactly.
No rational person is like, give me the most power in the entire world, right?
Right. Where I'm going to have to like commit atrocities just based on like the structure of the nation.
It's like... I think I forget where I heard it, but it was like Jimmy Carter might be our best president, and the reason for that is that he literally spent the rest of his life after the presidency like building houses to atone for his sins when he was president.
He's like Mr. Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, he's like I did terrible things, so now he just has to build houses in developing countries.
Well,
oh man.
Are you first?
Yeah, I think so. I think you were first last week.
Let's do it.
Let's jump in.
Tell me about some things.
Let's
some
do it.
Stuff.
So, presidents. The leaders.
Can't live with them. Can't live without them. You could.
The leaders of our country. And as I said before, the insane egomaniacs who want to be the most powerful person in the world. Regardless of your feelings on presidents, I think there's one thing that we can all agree on. Most of them are war criminals and deserve a few assassination attempts.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
See, I thought that was funny because I felt like I was leading you to think I was going to say none of them deserve to die, but, they all kind of deserve a few assassination attempts.
What is the thing that everyone's been saying? Like, I don't condone political violence. Yeah. Political violence is never acceptable.
Literally.
I'm like, beautiful
right,
Instagram infographic. I know, Jack Black.
I know.
Bro.
Sad. Well, and that's the thing is it's like, it's funny because a lot of like these conservative people are like, well, I don't condone political violence, but then are like juiced on like how America came to be, and it's like we literally like fought a war for our independence. Like it was kind of political violence. Like they were like guerrilla warfare, like guerrilla soldiers.
Literally.
Like,
also, tell me if it was Joe Biden who had an assassination attempt, they wouldn't be like, do it again.
Do it again. Literally. Yeah, one person's freedom fighter is another's terrorist, I suppose. Anyway, with the recent attempt on former President Donald Dick Trump, I don't know, switch the J and the D.
Good.
We thought that it would be kind of fun to look back at historic assassination attempts and successes of the past.
Kind of fun, kind of silly.
Kind of fun, kind of quirky, a little like just off the wall, you could really say,
so unlike us.
It's actually the most on-brand thing for us to talk about murder and specifically the potential murder of presidents.
Yeah, I can't believe we haven't talked about this before.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting. So my two stories my first of two stories bring us back to a man known as Richard Lawrence. He was born in England in about 1800 or 1801. We really don't know because, history is kind of a shit show until I don't know. Even now it's a shit show.
True that.
Can anybody really remember what was going on in 2012,
No, I mean, and can we really trust our news outlets?
Yeah, that too, but yeah, I don't know. The Lawrences migrated to the U.S. when Richard Lawrence was a wee lad of 12 years old, and they settled in Virginia. Friends and family who were interviewed after our friend became infamous stated that he was pretty normal his entire life, like normal child, well-mannered, and pretty kind, up until around the time he took a job painting houses.
Ooh, that'll get you.
Yeah. House painters.
That'll make you crazy.
They're off the wall. they're loose cannons. Obviously, we don't know anything for certain, but some historians believe that the toxic chemicals from painting houses is actually what triggered some kind of mental illness in our friend.
And we were talking about that last week, I believe, because we were talking about lead
paint,
and whether or not that contributed to a rash of serial killings.
Like serial killings. Yeah, many of the green paints of the time were made with arsenic and copper, so there is some validity. I can't talk. Validity, yeah, to the theory, I suppose. But
yeah, they were making shit out of crazy shit back then.
Throwing it at the wall, man. I found this I think it was like a 1940s or 1950s toy. It was like a chemist set that you could buy, and it literally had like uranium in the toy set, and I was like, holy shit, dude! It's insane. What they were just like.
That's crazy.
But I mean, I guess it was also the time where you'd buy your kid a gun when they were 3 years old and be like, go shoot squirrels outside in the backyard, son.
Right. They're like, play with this uranium.
Go play in traffic, He began having dissociative behavior and became violent, especially around his siblings and toward his siblings. His condition seemed to worsen and worsen with time. In 1832, he told his family he was going back to England. However, he backed out of moving back at the last minute with the excuse that it was too cold to travel. But then he said he actually was moving back to study landscape painting. but then stated that the government wouldn't allow him to travel or leave the country.
Interesting.
So that was kind of his, like, I guess, rationale behind, he was like, I'm going to move back. And, you know, like, I don't, like, this man's obviously, like, has mental illness and is, like, very, like, mentally ill. So it's not like, I don't want to, like, goof on him, you know, but, like, it is just kind of funny that he was like, it's too cold to travel. Actually, I am going back. Actually, the government won't let me go back.
Yeah. I mean, I get it's too cold to travel. I understand that one because I will never travel when it's cold again. But one thing that I hate is like being on a trip and it's cold.
Yeah, that's valid.
Terrible.
I imagine England gets pretty chilly. So
yeah, I think England is notoriously pretty.
I mean, it's a coastal,
cold,
so I
rainy.
imagine it's very icy as well.
Yeah.
His condition continued to deteriorate as he became more and more paranoid, and he would tell family that he believed the newspapers were writing articles critical of his travel plans and his character.
Oh, no.
At one point, he stated that there was a whole newspaper dedicated to just talking about how he was, like, shitty.
Oof. Did he ever get the help that he needed?
I think so. But news of the time would oftentimes report on, like, pretty silly stories. Like, if you've ever read any, like, old-timey newspapers, like, they're like, and Betty Louise just repainted her house. Or, you know, like,
yeah.
Like, there were some silly ones, like, in small-town newspapers, but obviously this was, like, a delusion. I'm sure they might have even written something about his travel plans, and it might even have been critical, but, like, there was not a whole newspaper, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, they literally used to be like, the Smith family went to Europe for the summer.
Yeah, literally. So there's, not a lot happening in rural
I was going to say,
Virginia.
there was just, like, nothing going on, so they're like, guess what your neighbor did?
There's a fun podcast that is hosted by the Dollop boys, Dave Anthony and Garrett Reynolds, and it's called The Pastimes. And Dave Anthony literally just reads old newspapers and just, like, how crazy the, like, news stories are from them.
Oh, that's funny.
It's a really fun podcast. I would suggest if you like old-timey silly stories. He also came to believe that the government was withholding money from him and that he was owed. He claimed that he was Richard III of England and owned 2 estates there. Here's a quote from the Wikipedia article. Lawrence became convinced that President Andrew Jackson's opposition to the Second Bank of the United States was preventing the distribution of the money he believed he was owed. He felt that if Jackson were no longer in office, Vice President Martin Van Buren would establish a national bank and allow Congress to pay him the money for his English estate claims. So, kind of taking out his delusional anger on Mr. Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty wild. He then began acting weirder and weirder, some stating that he would sit in his doorway and watch the street for hours at a time.
Oh.
Kids that would pass by developed the nickname King Richard for him as, like, a joke. But, like, he didn't get the joke, like, from what we can kind of tell, and he liked it. He kind of, like, he enjoyed being called that. He was like, I am King Richard, you know?
Ooh.
So, like, again, it's kind of sad, but
I
also feel like it's, like, far enough back in time that it's, like...
he's been long dead.
Yeah, like, it's kind of silly. I don't know. Again, his condition continued to worsen, and at one point, he threatened his sister with a paperweight for, like, talking about him.
Yikes.
I'm not sure how true this was, but I imagine that if she was, like, talking about him, it was probably out of concern rather than, like, malice, you know?
Sure.
So I don't know if she was, like, actually, like, being like, hey, we gotta, like, do something about Richard over here, but he did threaten her with a paperweight, so.
Shit.
But again, like, I mean, I know, like, asylums existed at the time, but.
Yeah. I mean, they were a damn nightmare.
They were a nightmare, so I'm sure your family wasn't like, let's put our brother in an asylum, you know?
I mean, and maybe they were thinking that or wanting to do that, but, I mean, it certainly would not have helped him. So.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But yeah, because of his vendetta against Andrew Jackson, he began following him around and tracking his movements.
Oh, jeez.
I think you can probably see where this is heading.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will tell you all more about where this is heading after a word from these sponsors. Because similarly to how our friend was obsessing over Andrew Jackson and getting his money, our ads obsess over you and getting your money.
Wow, that was really beautiful.
Thank you. I've been working on my segues.
I love it. Now it's staring in the mirror.
Yeah, just reciting them.
Yeah.
Just any like key word that you can flip into an ad segue, you know? Like, I'm drinking a Spindrift. You know what would really spin your drift? These ads.
These ads. Oh, ads.
We're so back, dude.
Oh my fucking God.
I'm thinking we're back, actually.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's really crazy.
Do you ever get like a song stuck in your head that's like been like consistently getting stuck in your head for like years?
I think so.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter like the last time you listen to it, like it always will just get stuck in your head like periodically every like maybe month or two.
Maybe.
I don't know. I always get
This might be a Taylor specific experience.
You know the song that's like I think Bastille did a cover of it, but it's like, what would you do if your son was at home?
Oh, yeah.
Crying all alone on the bedroom floor. I get that song stuck in my head like once a month, dude. And
it's such a weird one.
And I couldn't even tell you the last time I listened to that song, but it gets stuck in my head all the time. I don't know why. It's so funny. But like, yeah, just like every now and again, I'll just be like, what would you do if your son was at home?
Lying on the floor,
hungry.
I feel like, who is it? That Rockabye Baby song? Hold on. I gotta Google it.
I don't know.
It's like really bad. Rockabye Baby. But not the like lullaby.
Yeah.
The
Not in the treetop.
Oh God, who's the damn singer? Anyway, there's like and I feel like it's gotta be kind of like making fun of that. Oh, it's Sean Paul.
Okay.
Sean Paul, that's it. And apparently somebody called Anne Marie. But anyway, I feel like that song is sort of emulating that. Because it's kind of about like a mom who's like not there and maybe something's wrong with her or something. Anyway, and it's like trying to be really serious. Like it's like she's like has to, do like difficult things to like make money for her kid or whatever. But then Sean Paul is just in the background and he's like, a rockabye, your baby's gonna die. And it's just God. Like, he doesn't say that, but it's like just, I feel like they're trying to be really serious. And then you just have Sean
just,
Paul.
Like, gets turned into a cartoon.
It's bad. Like, it's such a bad song.
That's like that one fucking song. I think it's by Brad Paisley and LL Cool J.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's it's like about like, I don't know. I guess it probably came out during like the BLM protests.
Oh no.
And Brad Paisley is like talking about like Southern heritage, but like, not wanting to like continue the like tradition of racism, or did you look it up? Yeah. And then there's dead ass. Okay, listen to me. Look in my eyes right now. There's a part where LL Cool J says, the Mason-Dixon needs some fixin'.
Are you guys ready for the name of this song?
Yeah.
The name of this song is Accidental Racist.
Yeah.
What?
And then there's another part, I'm pretty sure, where he says, what does he say?
My jaw's literally dropped.
Can you look up the lyrics right now?
I have it right
please?
here.
Because I'm pretty sure he says, like, I won't judge your Southern flag if you don't judge my do-rag or something like that.
Boy.
Like there's
Hold on, let's
LL
see.
Cool J has some wild lines in this song.
This is we got to talk about this.
Yeah, I'm surprised I have not brought this up in casual conversation because
disbelief.
It blew. Every time I think about it, I'm like, I cannot believe that that's real.
Yeah, the relationship between the Mason-Dixon needs some fixing.
Yep. Wait, what's the last line of the song that LL Cool J says?
Let's see. He says, R.I.P. Robert E. Lee.
R.I.P. Robert E. Lee.
But I've got to thank Abraham Lincoln for freeing me. Know what I mean?
It's so true.
Dog.
It's crazy.
Wait, where was the other one? Oh, yeah, he says right here, if you don't judge my do-rag, I won't judge your red flag.
Yep, yeah.
I guess we're both guilty of judging the cover, not the book.
Yeah. It's wild because it's a country song. Like, it's a country song, and then LL Cool J is like in between verses vamping these lines. And it's the most insane thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
We will definitely go through this on like a bonus episode or something.
Yeah,
this is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Insane! Oh my god.
When did this come out?
Oh, it's good stuff, y'all.
Wow.
The Mason-Dixon needs some fixing. It's such a line. It is a moment. Honestly, I cannot believe. And, the ladies do love Cool J.
Ladies love
Cool J.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, back to our story.
Yeah, bring us back in.
That was crazy.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, wild. So, on Friday, January 30th, 1835, Richard Lawrence stood up at his paint shop and was reported saying, "I'll be damned if I don't do it," and stormed out. He then caught Jackson leaving a funeral for a congressman who had recently passed away, and attempted to shoot him with not one, but 2 pistols.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know much about weaponry.
Sure.
But I know that guns back then weren't as reliable as they are today.
Definitely.
But the fact that both of the pistols misfired is pretty insane.
That is pretty insane.
Like, both of them. And I read a thing that was like, this type of gun didn't do well in like humidity, and like it had been raining a bunch or something. Like, so there's like possible reasons why, but both pistols misfire. Jackson, who's obviously like pretty mad that some dude just tried to kill him, then beat Richard Lawrence with his cane until the police arrived, which is pretty insane. You can't.
The 1800s.
Yeah, you can't beat people with your cane like you used to be able to.
That's what's wrong with America.
Yeah, make America beat people with canes again.
Oh my god.
Fortunately,
I love that he was just like, how dare you try and just
whacking him.
Yeah.
Fortunately, during his trial, Lawrence was found not guilty for the attempt by reason of insanity. So he didn't go to prison. I believe he was put in a facility, so
right.
Not much better probably
about
at the
time.
But yeah, so pretty wild.
Wow.
The next name that I'm gonna talk about is probably one y'all are more familiar with.
I am going to call
the next name. I have 2 girls.
I have 2 assassins in my hand.
Oh, God.
To be fair, I would want to also kill Andrew Jackson. He's a bad person.
Yeah, he was very bad.
So.
I have 2 presidents in my hand. And then, like, it's like the ending sequence, and, like, one of them dissolves. And it's
one of them gets shot in the head.
Yeah, and it's like, bye, Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
The next name is probably one y'all are more familiar with, John Wilkes Booth.
Hey, the man.
The man, the myth, the legend. He was born on May 10th, 1838 in Bel Air, Maryland. And though he wasn't Will Smith, he was his own kind of Fresh Prince. Phoebe's got to walk away.
Stop it. I can't.
I wrote that down and was like, hell yeah, dude.
You're like, Phoebe's gonna fucking die.
Well, it's not Bel Air, Maryland. I was like, I got it.
It writes itself.
The jokes, the content writes itself. Come on.
Holy shit, brother.
Oh, man. There was this, like, video that Eden showed me once, and it was like a I don't remember. It was they were filming for some reason, but they were like interviewing kids. And one of the things, I don't know if they were talking about Abraham Lincoln or if they had asked them, like, if you could meet any president from the past, who would you meet or whatever. But this one kid was like, I'd meet Abraham Lincoln, or however it came up. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, what would you say to Abraham Lincoln if you could, like, ask him anything? And the kid was like, want to go see a play? And Ethan and I were rolling, dude. It was so funny. It's like he had to be like a 9 years old. Oh my God. And like that's another reason I don't think I could teach like older chill kids, because like how do you not laugh at that?
Oh, I
dude?
would die. I would not be able to get you in trouble.
Myself.
I would be like, fuck, that's funny.
That's funny.
I can't even be mad.
Yeah. Anyway, being the 9th of 10 children who loved theater and acting, he was noted as being a kind young boy, but a little emotionally unstable. It's kind of funny because his older brother, Edwin Booth, was also an actor and was like pretty well known at the time and like a respected stage actor. Like people say like he's like one of the best like actors of the 19th century or something, like, which I had no idea because, you know, you hear Booth, you think John Wilkes.
Right.
Yeah. Like he's like his whole family, like his parents like were like these famous actors, like they did a bunch of Shakespeare and stuff. Like, yeah, it's crazy. In 1859, he joined a Shakespearean stock company and performed throughout the Civil War years, mostly in the South. He loved the South and, in turn, loved slavery. Huge slavery guy. Big on slavery.
Good.
Also, in turn, he hated Abraham Lincoln for wanting to give those slaves rights, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
For wanting to, like, give human beings rights, dude.
Yeah.
Ew, gross.
Imagine.
I know. Disgusting.
His
plans were first to simply abduct Abraham Lincoln and probably kill him, or at least like stop his presidency.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been wild. The president is missing, literally.
Yeah.
And he actually had a little like gang of supporters and like co-conspirators who were planning the abduction with him. Mm-hmm. But the plans never came to fruition. This all changed when he received the news that Lincoln was to see a play at Ford's Theater. He had recently heard a speech from Lincoln about giving slaves suffrage, and that Robert E. Lee had recently surrendered, ending the Civil War. So he was like obviously pretty bummed about all that, I guess, being a big slavery guy and a big South guy. On April 14th, Just like Brad Paisley, yeah. He was, you know, John Wilkes Booth, accidental racist. Oh God. It's insane.
Oh.
No, I think he was very purposefully racist.
Yeah, not an accident at all.
On April 14th, 1865, Lincoln and his wife/dinner guests were seeing the play Our American Cousin when John walked in, having tampered with the door to the stage booth thing earlier in the day, and shot Abraham Lincoln in the back of the head. Mm-hmm. Booth then jumped off the banister, landing on the stage, yelling, "Sic Semper Tyrannis," which translates to "Thus always tyrants," or "The South is avenged," or both. You know, again, we really don't know.
Interesting. What is that, Latin?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that "Sic Semper Tyrannis" is Latin.
Okay.
But again, there's differing accounts. We really don't know what he said.
Oh, you're saying he may have said the Latin thing, or I thought you were saying the Latin translates to those two different things. And I was like,
sorry.
That's crazy.
No. Yeah, no.
Okay, I see.
The Latin does translate to "Thus always tyrants," but some accounts say he yelled, "The South is avenged."
Interesting.
And he could have yelled one of those two things or both of those things.
Right.
Nobody really knows.
Yeah.
Because again, history is just whatever people remember.
Yeah.
So, the fall broke his leg, yet he was able to escape to his horse and flee the scene. I was going to say,
that has to be a pretty far jump.
Yeah, there's like weird, because like I get into like the conspiracy theories after this, but
always
there's like theories. Weird stuff where people are like the fall didn't break his leg, like something else broke his leg. I guess that's not really part of the conspiracies, but like
interesting, like
people like speculate about this like way more than like needs to be speculated about in our year of our Lord 2024. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's like it's not.
He probably broke his leg jumping off the banister, but like, yeah, I don't know.
There was a second leg breaker on the grassy knoll.
So true. Mr. President, a second leg has been broken. Yeah, so a massive manhunt ensued for the $100,000 reward for catching Booth, or killing Booth. And, yeah, that was a lot of money at the time, as you can imagine.
I was going to say, that's a pretty hefty sum.
Yeah. On April 26th, a gang of vigilantes found Booth in a tobacco farm barn and shot him, avenging Lincoln. There was like a shootout, but they shot him. Or did they?
He's on the Cuba with Tupac.
Yeah, he's with Elvis and Tupac and Castro.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Princess Di.
Yeah, Princess Di.
All the other people that
a bunch of other ones.
Yeah.
You know, all those lads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as conspiracy theories go, in the first one, like Andrew Jackson believed that Lawrence was hired to kill him by one of his like political rivals. You know, he believed that like his entire life until he died. The two main culprits were John C. Calhoun or George Poindexter, which I only included because his last name is literally Poindexter.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. But that one, I mean, there's really no, like, there was a bunch of people who witnessed it. Like, there's really no denying that Richard Lawrence tried to kill Andrew Jackson.
And he certainly seemed like he had his motivations and was, like, you know,
I don't
unstable.
know about that one. However, moving to the Lincoln assassination, some folks believe that John Wilkes Booth was not the one who was killed in the barn when the group of vigilantes hunted him down.
Oh.
Part of this was due to the government secretly burying his body. And they would later return the remains to the Booth family. Like, we know where he's buried now and everything. I don't really know why they felt the need to, like, secretly bury his body.
Yeah.
But
maybe they thought that people would just, like, be really
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, like, people were, like, going to riot and, like, hang him from this, you know, like, lamppost or whatever. Because, like, Lincoln was pretty well-liked president,
certainly.
You know, for the most part. But yeah, the theories of Booth's escape span from him getting away and taking on a new identity to the government actually covering up his death so that he could go free, implying that the government had a hand in the assassination, which is like a huge thing. Thinking like the government like killed Lincoln.
Yes.
Jefferson Davis believed that Southern leaders were behind the assassination attempt. And by 1867, some believed that President Johnson was behind it and to benefit from Lincoln's death by obviously becoming the president. The 1997 book and movie, The Lincoln Conspiracy, claimed to have a diary of Booth's that proved he didn't die at the barn shootout. However, it's like there's no evidence that the diary's real. Like, you could just write stuff, you know.
Dear diary, my name is John Wilkes Booth, and I am not dead.
I am not dead. I mean, and also, like, I don't know, it's just like 1800s fan fiction of John Wilkes Booth.
right. And then I leaned into Lincoln's plump, supple lips.
Yes. His plump, supple back of his head.
Fingering his top hat.
So there was even a request in 1994 to have Booth's body exhumed from the Greenmount Cemetery to put to rest all of the theories, but a judge in Maryland shot the request down because it was kind of insane thing to do.
Yeah. Also, in 1994? I mean, these bones.
Yeah, like, I don't know what else you would, like, what you'd get.
Like, you can't really prove anything.
I don't know. I don't really know that much about, like, DNA, ancestral testing and stuff. I mean, they were able to prove that, like, like, Thomas Jefferson, but that was, like, with his descendants. They were able to prove that, like, his descendants that were like with slaves were his descendants, you know?
Sure.
Maybe there's something they could have done. I don't know, but
interesting. It's like, let it go.
Yeah.
You know?
That's kind of what I said. It's like, I love a good conspiracy theory, but like at this point it's so old that it's like, it's just, I guess it's fun. I don't know. It's fun to like theorize things.
And
but,
like, yeah, we want to solve, you know, murders or whatever. But like, there's not going to be. It's so long ago. It's not really.
Yeah, especially with something like this.
What are you going to get from that? You know?
I get the Thomas Jefferson thing because there were literally people who denied that he fucked his slaves.
Yeah,
raped his slaves. For years, but but anyway, yeah. I also another thing. Vice President Johnson, who became president of an assassinated president, Lyndon B. Johnson, who became president after John F. Kennedy got assassinated. Lots to think about.
Yeah, there really is.
I actually have seen like TikTok things about how weird that is. Like,
no, that is
weird connections between like Lincoln and Kennedy. I don't know.
Yeah, I have also. Yeah,
it's odd. But yeah, I'd like to end with a quote from a newspaper I found talking about the conspiracies surrounding the Lincoln assassination. The historians researching the Lincoln assassination or any American assassination must apply the same caution and standards of evidence as one would with any other historical subject. If approached in this manner, a great deal of accurate information can be developed about the events and how and why people react to such traumatic experiences. Unfortunately, the great majority of authors on the Lincoln assassination have lacked this judicious approach. Although John Wilkes Booth died in Garrett's barn, no amount of research or evidence is ever apt to dispel this particular myth completely, since it seems to satisfy a fundamental human need to make assassinations fit into a pattern. Which, you know, again, it's like that one is a little thin. There's cooler assassination conspiracy theories. JFK.
I just feel like any time that like, I mean, it's an assassination, so of course there's going to be a million speculations about like what actually happened because it's such a large figure.
Yeah, it's like everybody's talking about it. Yeah, I mean, I've heard like stories about people who lived through like the JFK assassination and how it was just like you couldn't escape it. Like, everybody was talking about it. I mean, it was a cultural moment, you know. Yeah. So I'm sure it was the same with Lincoln and like people just theorizing and talking and I don't know. But I do think that like the Lincoln conspiracy film or book and movie or whatever are like they kind of like it's the cheesy historical conspiracy kind of stuff that like they air on the History Channel, you know.
I was gonna say it's a little like Ancient Aliens-esque.
Yeah, like it's just very like schlocky.
Yeah, it's a great word for it.
Yeah, like I don't know, like it's more meant to entertain than it is to like actually be any kind of like hard hitting historical journalism, I guess.
Definitely.
But anyway, Finn. Yeah.
Nice.
Assassinations, baby.
Assassinations.
Assassinations.
Ass. An ass.
That's triple ass.
That's triple ass. I meant to do 2 stories, but I just got into the weeds with my first one too much.
That's perfect.
And I was like,
happens.
yeah, you know me. And I was going to talk about, damn it. What's his name, Taylor?
Ronald Reagan guy?
No, the guy who they killed him with the like homemade weapon.
Oh.
Fuck. I can't remember.
I'm so sorry. I wish I'm not coming. It's not coming to me.
Shinzo Abe.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
My fucking brain shorted out right there. Just because the like homemade gun and it's just like, yeah, it's an interesting one. But I didn't because this one was just too juicy.
Too spicy?
Yeah. I don't know why, but I named my article "Who Shot Mr. Burns?" Do you remember that Simpsons episode?
I do. Didn't it end up being Maggie?
It was Maggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mention this, but my article was named "Hit Me with Your Best Shot." Because I've been on like an 80s song kick. I don't know.
Let's keep it going. I love this. Well, 1968. A great year.
What a year.
Not really, actually. It was a heated year for America. The Vietnam War was raging, with the Tet Offensive revealing that North Vietnam was stronger than American citizens had been led to believe, and support for the war fell dramatically. And then in March, American soldiers carried out one of the largest and most grotesque massacres by a military force, killing over 500 innocent Vietnamese citizens, including women, children, and infants, and then subsequently defiling their bodies.
Of course.
Horrific.
Love the American military. We are always the good guys.
Always just had, strict moral compasses. In April, the assassination of Martin Luther King, who had become a voice of the civil rights movement and a beloved activist for equality, sparked massive riots across the country and further loss of hope in the American people. So in June of 1968, when presidential candidate and brother of JFK, Robert Kennedy, was assassinated, it sent the United States into a tailspin.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, like, JFK dies and
crazy time to be alive.
Yeah.
5 years later.
Yeah, because
RFK.
People were, like, if I recall, like, people were pretty convinced that, like, RFK was gonna be the president.
Oh, completely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And, of course, now we have RFK Jr. running.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been listening to the Behind the Bastards on him.
I know, which I like. It's funny that these two kind of lined up a bit, because I didn't mean to at all. I had decided that I was going to talk about this before the RFK Jr. Behind the Bastards episodes came out, but I was like, well,
true.
What a funny little coinkydink.
Wow, life.
Robert Francis Kennedy, or Bobby Kennedy as he was known, was the younger brother of John F. Kennedy and another successful politician in the Kennedy line. He led JFK's presidential campaign in 1960 and then was appointed Attorney General by JFK. Following the assassination of JFK in 1963, Robert left his Attorney General position to run for Senator of New York in 1964. He did serve under Lindy B. right? Yeah.
Yeah.
For like, I guess, around a year as Attorney General still, but then... Yeah. He was like, I'm done.
Lizzie B. Jizzlers.
Lizzie B. Jizz.
Our boy.
Yeah. And so ran for Senator of New York in 1964. Woo. RFK served as senator from 65 to 68. He was known for being very liberal for his time.
Yeah.
He outwardly opposed the Vietnam War. He supported the civil rights movement and even had a relationship with MLK. He helped to stabilize poverty-stricken communities. He helped to work against the mafia, which was like a huge problem at that time. He built a relationship with Cesar Chavez and traveled to suffering countries to advocate for human rights. So when Robert began his presidential campaign in 1968, he had definitely paved the way for a win. Robert, of course, was not perfect. During his time as Attorney General, he was responsible for wiretapping Martin Luther King Jr. and his organization, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. MLK was suspected of being a communist, of course.
As they all are.
Yeah, due to his ties with Stan Levinson, and also just because he was like a person who believed that like people should all have equal rights.
Yeah, should all,
and
have food and whatnot.
The government at the time was like, Communist,
yeah. As they were. Because people said the same thing about JFK, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Which is, like, it's wild that, like, JFK, I don't know, like, just the Kennedys were so liberal, I guess, for the time. Because, like, I don't know, the Kennedy family is pretty fucked up. And
yeah. And, like, so rich. And
I mean, I guess they're like neo-liberals, or whatever.
Sure. Like nothing crazy, but at the time it was like, oh my God.
Making a statement.
Yeah. So, right, MLK was suspected of being a communist because of his ties to Stan Levinson, who was extremely suspect at the time. This time in American history, as I was saying, was truly a shit show. You had the Cuban Missile Crisis, rampant racism due to the Civil Rights Movement, the Red Scare, the Vietnam War, and the FBI's pointing fingers at everyone, accusing them of being a communist, like we were saying. On October 10th, 1963, RFK sent the order to the FBI to wiretap MLK's telephones. According to 2 FBI informants who were former members of the Communist Party of the United States, Stan Levinson had been one of the top 2 financiers for the party. Quickly after his leave from the CPUSA, Levinson became a close friend and advisor to Martin Luther King. The FBI felt that the quickly established relationship was fishy and that King must have, of course, been a communist himself, because otherwise, how would these 2 men be friends?
Crazy.
Craziness.
Which I guess that Martin Luther King Jr. was, like, pretty for socialism.
Right.
I wouldn't even say he was, like, a communist, but, like, he was very, like, equal. Everybody should be fed. I mean, he was a pretty based guy.
Right, exactly. The FBI also concluded that Levinson's leaving the CPUSA was all a clever ruse to throw them off of his communistic ways. The wiretaps never led to the damning evidence that the FBI so desperately craved. In fact, the only evidence that they found was to the contrary. The wiretaps had recorded several conversations where King stated that he was not involved with the Communist Party and never planned to be. But the FBI, being the FBI, ignored this and continued to spread rumors that King was indeed a member of the Communist Party.
Of course.
Yes, stating, quote, according to the FBI, Dr. King is regarded in communist circles as a genuine Marxist-Leninist who is following the Marxist-Leninist line.
Which is, like, so funny because that's not even, like, confirmation that, like, Martin Luther King was a communist. It's just that, like, communists liked him. Like, they were like,
exactly.
This guy's pretty based.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
They're like...
Maybe this guy's sick. I don't know.
Exactly. They also became... This was, like, so stupid. They became focused on King's extramarital affairs, and they even sent a letter to Coretta, his wife, informing her about the affairs.
That's wild, man.
It's like, guys... Don't, like, this is not your business.
The FBI literally sends the Instagram, like, hey, Queen, DM to Martin Luther King's wife.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Is this your boyfriend?
Is this your boyfriend? I'm so sorry.
The wiretapping created bad blood between RFK and MLK and left a stain on Robert's name forever. And Robert was also, like, a huge supporter of Israel, which I will get into later. This, however, the MLK wiretapping did not stop him from campaigning to be the Democratic candidate for president in 1968, and armed with his previous legacy of good deeds and standing up for the disenfranchised, he began his ambitious campaign against Lyndon Johnson. During his time as a New York senator, Robert had secured himself as a man of the people and a social justice advocate. He supported the Freedom Riders, befriended leaders of civil rights movement, which increased his popularity among black communities, Native Americans, and immigrants. He gave many speeches about the plight of the, quote, disaffected, impoverished, and the excluded. He advocated for drug treatment funding, the rights of non-English speaking voters, and even visited apartheid South Africa in 1966 to speak on behalf of the oppressed Native population. And he said this, quote, at the University of Natal in Durban, I was told the church to which most of the white population belongs teaches apartheid as a moral necessity. A questioner declared that few churches allow black Africans to pray with the white because the Bible says that this is the way it should be, because God created, word of the time, Negroes, to serve. But suppose God is black, I replied. What if we go to heaven and we, all our lives, have treated the Negro as an inferior and God is there and we look up and he is not white? What then is our response? There was no answer, only silence, end quote.
Damn.
Damn
That's
indeed.
Crazy.
Robert announced his campaign on March 16th, 1968. He said, quote, I am today announcing my candidacy for the President of the United States. I do not run for the presidency merely to oppose any man, but to propose new policies. I run because I am convinced that this country is on a perilous course and because I have such strong feelings about what must be done. And I feel that I'm obliged to do all I can, end quote. And then in a speech at the University of Kansas, Robert said, quote, I don't think that we have to shoot each other. Ooh. Yikes. To beat each other, to curse each other, and criticize each other. I think that we can do better in this country, and that is why I run for President of the United States.
Damn.
End quote.
Yeah, I mean, he was right. Like,
yeah.
you know. Our country was and continues to be on a perilous path.
Yeah, not the worst candidate for president of the United States.
Definitely not. I mean,
that's ever been.
You know, again, it's like I said, it's every president's gonna be like a little whack.
Exactly.
Fucking wacko, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly.
But
could
be worse.
Yeah, it could be.
Ads.
These ads.
Could be this break.
This little break ski.
I know. Don't worry, y'all. It's just a little musical number, and then we're back. We're so back.
Yeah, you get to listen to some funky grooves.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll tell you more about RFK getting
Don't panic.
shot.
I know that you all get very nervous when we leave.
I know.
It's like a pet, you know.
Yeah,
like,
they have separation
like,
anxiety.
Yeah, we leave and y'all are like, when are they coming back? Mm-hmm. But we'll be right back. I promise.
Mm-hmm. It's like Shiv. She does these really, really high pitched whines, and you're like, wow, that's so annoying. I can't believe you make a noise like that.
Yeah.
Just kidding, guys. I love her unconditionally.
She is a precious baby.
Her.
Yeah. Oh. She's just chilling on her little blankie.
Yeah, her blankie. Anyway.
All right.
Shiv. Nice. And that's how the West was won.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's guns, germs, and steel.
Yeah.
As they say.
Yeah. Oh, shit. We weren't recording that whole time. We missed
oh,
my
no.
whole how the West was won story.
Phoebe literally just explained how the West was won, and you all missed it.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah. You know, maybe another time.
Maybe another time.
In another life.
In another life.
Yeah.
Quick show recommendation.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Ooh.
On Netflix. Bryan Cranston is in it.
Ooh.
It came out in B-Cran.
Vodka Cran himself.
Vodka
Cran. Anyway.
It came out in 2020, and I'm like shocked that more people haven't heard of it or are talking about it because it's so fucking good, and it's Bryan Cranston.
We love our boy. Yeah, truly.
But it is about this. Bryan Cranston is a judge, and his son accidentally kills somebody with his car and flees the scene, and so Bryan Cranston helps to cover it up.
Yeah. Oh.
It is so intense.
Damn.
Literally every episode I was holding my head and I was like, oh my God. And then the last episode of the first season, my mom had seen it. My mom's always recommending TV shows to me, and they're always great because we have the same taste, which is great.
And then you, in turn, recommend them to me.
And then Taylor never watches them.
It's true.
But she was like, for the last episode of the first season, I'm gonna watch it with you because it's so intense. You will probably want
someone there.
Moral support.
Yeah.
And boy, did I. Boy, was I grateful. I literally was shaken to my core. Anyway, it's such a fucking good show. Watch it.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Well, in the realm of recommendations, I was telling
me.
Phoebe this earlier, watch the horror movie The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty spooky, especially if you are a little spooked by, old person horror, old people being weird. Nothing against old people.
Of course not.
But they sometimes do weird stuff in horror movies, and it's pretty freaky. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. There's a scene in a cave where this demon that's possessed this old lady is trying to eat a child. So
whoa,
it's pretty wild.
It's
anyway,
that painting that I can't think of the name of.
Where I know the one that you're talking about, where the demon is eating a child. Yeah, crazy.
Oh,
anyway, Rex
F.K. So Robert Kennedy, the original, was frankly a candidate that I could have seen myself voting for. He was strong when he was strong in supporting social justice, supporting impoverished communities, creating welfare reform, and greater job opportunities.
Yeah.
He was even in support of gun control, which is
Crazy.
It just seems, I don't know. It's like, it seems like a newer thing a little bit.
No, I mean, there's definitely been worse political candidates.
Anyway, the support of gun control kind of surprised me because I just feel like after school shootings became a thing, that's when you kind of would hear about it more. Anyway, he was in support of abolishing the death penalty, and he wanted to bring an end to the rich evading taxes. So, kind of some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I smacked my mic. By June of 1968, Robert was second in the running to become the Democratic nominee behind the Vice President Hubert Humphrey. On June 3rd, Robert made his way through the major cities of California, securing... Oh, because Lyndon Johnson had dropped out of the race by that point, by the way.
Yes,
Sorry, I forgot to mention that. On June 3rd, Robert made his way through the major cities of California, securing his win in the Californian primaries. On June 5th, 1968, just after midnight, Robert arrived at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles to deliver his victory speech. After his speech, Robert headed towards the doors of the ballroom in order to greet the attendees and exit, but was led instead by his guys, his party, his entourage, to a back door into a kitchen. Robert greeted several people, including hotel staff, shaking their hands and giving thanks. As Robert began to shake hands with the busboy, Juan Romero, a man stepped out holding a rolled-up campaign poster. This poster contained a .22 rifle, and standing just about a foot away, Sirhan Sirhan, the man behind the rifle, shot JFK multiple times, striking him in his head, much like his brother years earlier. Allegedly. Intrigue.
Yeah. No, that's wild. And like a rifle is crazy. Like he I guess I just didn't know anything about RFK's assassination, but I assumed it was like a handgun that you could like conceal.
A .22 is definitely like a smaller one.
Yeah. I've shot a .22 and they're pretty like that's like the gun you get. Like that's like baby's first gun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that is, I mean, it's not a handgun. I mean, it's a bigger thing to carry around with you.
Yeah. And I mean, in point blank range, I'm sure it's going to do some damage.
Right.
I wouldn't want to get shot by one.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. Juan Romero, the busboy, who was 17 years old at the time and a Mexican immigrant, had felt respected by JFK and was honored, and was honored when Robert had shaken his hand. As Robert fell to the ground, and friend of Robert, Rafer Johnson, who was an Olympic gold medalist, attempted to tackle Sirhan, Juan knelt down on the ground with RFK. Many years later, Juan told NPR, quote, "I kneeled down to him and put my hand between the cold concrete and his head just to make him comfortable. I could feel a steady stream of blood coming through my fingers. I had a rosary in my shirt pocket, and I took it out thinking that he would need it a lot more than me. I wrapped it around his right hand, and then they wheeled him away." Juan had said that Kennedy looked at him and asked, "Is everybody okay?" And Juan replied, "Yes, everybody is okay." RFK then turned away and said, "Everything's going to be okay." Dramatic.
That's dramatic.
Yeah,
and
like very
sad.
Very sad, very cinematic.
Yeah.
I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Robert died in the hospital the next day, leaving the nation rocked and sending Richard Nixon to victory.
Ugh.
Imagine the world if we could have had...
The world, man.
If we could have had... The world we could have had if old Tricky Dick didn't fucking be president.
Dude, that's so crazy.
Insane.
I know. There'd be no, like... I don't know... Continuing of the Vietnam War.
Yeah. No Watergate.
No Watergate. No... Probably no, like, Roger Stone... Well, maybe Roger Stone was inevitable, but, like, you know, the people who overthrow... socialist governments in other countries, like,
yeah,
I don't know, that's crazy.
I know, truly like changed the
trajectory of the world,
of life as we know it.
But I mean, the same thing is like if JFK hadn't been assassinated, like,
yes,
because Lyndon B. Johnson sucked.
And very badly.
Did a lot of shady shit. Like,
yeah,
and partially like extended the Vietnam War, or allowed Richard Nixon to extend the Vietnam War so that he could be the one that ended Vietnam versus like him. He allowed it, and just shit like that. Anyway, it's too much to get into, but like, crazy to think about.
Truly crazy. If you've watched The Umbrella Academy, they like have this whole thing about like it's like hired people who go back in time and like shoot the anyway. It's silly, but
there's a really cool YouTube channel if you like history and stuff. It's called Alternate History Hub. I really like the guy who runs it, but he like basically that's his whole channel is like, what if this had or had not happened, and then like tries to like factually build the most likely scenario of like, I mean the classic one is always like, what if the Nazis had won and stuff like that, but like just like crazy things like, what if the Britain, what if America hadn't won the Revolutionary War and things like that? It's pretty interesting. I would suggest if you like YouTube videos.
Yeah. So let's talk about this assassin. Who is Sirhan Sirhan? Sirhan Bashar Sirhan was born in Jerusalem, Palestine in 1944. During his childhood, Jordan occupied the West Bank of Palestine, changing Sirhan's legal citizenship to Jordanian. Sirhan's mother says that he was traumatized during his childhood due to the unrest between Israel and the surrounding Arab countries, especially his homeland of Palestine.
Yeah.
In an interview with the Washington Post, Sirhan's mother said that he watched his older brother get run over and killed by a military vehicle. So yeah,
Holy
I would say that's pretty traumatizing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Also all the like, killing and everything going on around you.
God.
Sirhan's family moved to the United States when he was 12, and he lived in Pasadena, California, even all the way up through college. In 1967, the Six-Day War, which was a war between Israel and neighboring Arab countries, including Jordan, Egypt, and Syria, and like Palestine was part of that as well, but like it wasn't, it was occupied in all of the things at the time, so it wasn't like included in the list, if you'll say. Yeah, and I cannot even get into all of what like the description of the Six-Day War and what it was, but anyway, it was extremely contentious and very difficult, especially for the Palestinians. Robert Kennedy had expressed support for Israel and proposed that the United States send 50 Phantom jets to Israel to support this war effort. Robert had been a longtime supporter of Israel, starting back in 1948 when he visited Palestine, which was just 1 month away from being divided when Israel would declare their independence. Sirhan had allegedly seen a documentary in 1968 about Robert's visit to Palestine that outlined his overwhelming support for Israel. And it's said that this documentary, along with Kennedy's call for the Phantom jets to be sent to Israel, was the motivation behind the assassination. The assassination of Robert Kennedy was carried out on the year anniversary of the Six-Day War.
Wow.
And here's where we start to get into, like, I don't know. Things are a little sticky, a little unclear.
Yeah, a little fishy.
There's a lot of allegedlys.
Yeah.
Sirhan was allegedly drunk off of 4 Tom Collins. That was in a Washington Post article, and it was so specific.
That is really specific.
And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just like,
although I will say, I fuck with a Tom Collins.
Love Tom Collins.
They're so good.
So delicious.
Anyway. So, he's got a good taste in alcohol.
He was allegedly drunk off 4 Tom Collins and was overcome with anger. It's also been alleged that Sirhan is schizophrenic and that he had been harboring hatred for RFK for decades, and that he had written in a journal his plans to kill Kennedy. Quote, "My determination to eliminate RFK is becoming more and more of an unshakable obsession. Kennedy must die before June 5th.
Wow.
And there was like a lot of other just kind of like weird.
Yeah, they kind of had like a frenzy. The
media.
media.
Yeah, like there was a lot of like weird scribblings in this journal that was like kill Kennedy and things like that. During the trial for Sirhan, the prosecution said that he had been at the Ambassador Hotel 2 nights before the assassination, allegedly to learn the layout of the building. They also stated that he had been at a gun range on June 4th, the day before the assassination.
Wow.
Sirhan's garbage man testified and stated that Sirhan had told him a month before the assassination that he was planning on killing Robert Kennedy. During the trial, Sirhan admitted to shooting and killing RFK and stated that he had harbored malice for RFK for 20 years prior to the killing. Sirhan maintains to this day that he does not remember the killing nor making those statements in trial. Sirhan was convicted of first-degree murder and was originally sentenced to death. However, his sentence was changed 3 years later to life in prison because there was this, like, law change in California against the death penalty.
Yeah.
Sirhan, which interesting that like RFK was against the death penalty and then
they sentenced him to death. Yeah.
And then he like didn't get the death. Anyway, I don't know.
I was gonna say it's
just kind of like
what Robert would have wanted.
Yeah, truly. Sirhan was denied parole every time he appealed until 2021, when the parole board approved it, stating, quote, "We think you have grown." He was, however, denied parole this time by the governor of California and has been denied every time since then. And Sirhan remains in prison to this day.
Damn
indeed. So as I was saying, there is a lot of controversy and conspiracies surrounding the assassination of RFK. Theories that there was a second gunman, that Sirhan was brainwashed, and this was even proposed by his lawyer, and that police had bungled the investigation, which that one I
could see that.
Really believe.
How would a second gunman play into that?
I'll tell you.
Please.
The Los Angeles County coroner, Thomas Noguchi, testified during the trial that based on his autopsy, there had to have been a second shooter. Quote, "Eyewitnesses put Sirhan no closer than 18 inches away from Kennedy, but Noguchi testified that when the fatal wound was inflicted, the gun was 1 inch to 1.5 inches from Kennedy's ear." So there's belief that there was somebody behind Kennedy, because Sirhan was face to face with him. Yeah. They believe, based on this coroner, based on his autopsy, says that the shot must have come from behind and much closer than Sirhan was.
Interesting.
Paul Schrad, who was shot, he lived, but he was, casualty of the night, testified during one of Sirhan's parole hearings that he believes that there was a second gunman and that Sirhan was just a distraction, saying, quote, "I'm interested in finding out how the prosecutor convicted Sirhan with no evidence, knowing there was a second gunman."
Damn.
So he firmly believes and is sort of even ascertains that he saw it. I don't know. According to WBUR, which is a Boston radio station, audio tapes stored at Dartmouth University contain controversial evidence pertaining to the assassination. Quote, this was in an article on WBUR.com. It wasn't like a radio program. Anyway, quote, "The audio tapes include recordings of police interviews in which witnesses were browbeaten and pressured to change their stories, as well as recordings of hypnosis sessions conducted by psychiatrists. Sirhan had no recollection of the shooting during the sessions. In one interview, the psychiatrist says, 'Reach for your gun, Sirhan. It's your last chance, Sirhan. Reach for your gun. Where is your gun? Where is your gun? Reach for it.'" So, certainly interesting, and I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it. It's pretty I feel it's very. The JFK assassination is very suspicious.
Yes,
and RFK was kind of for all the same things as JFK.
Exactly, and I don't know, man. I will recommend a podcast at the end of this, and maybe I'm just a person who maybe I'm just a bit prone to a tinfoil hat. I don't know. But after listening to this, I was like, yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. It's like if the CIA was going to kill JFK or the FBI or whoever, is it really that out of the possibility? And again, just the coincidence they both get murdered is crazy.
Saying, it's a bit wild.
I don't know. It really makes you think.
It makes you think. There was also 3 bullets that hit Kennedy that were all fired from the same gun, but they could not find a match with these bullets and the bullets that came from Sirhan's gun. Also, there was these door panels that were in the kitchen that had all of these bullet holes in them, because they said that Sirhan shot 3 times, right? And it hit, or he shot, I think 5 times, and it hit RFK and a few of the witnesses around. However, also according to some audio files of the night, they can allegedly hear 13 shots fired.
Interesting.
And there was these door panels that had bullet holes in them, allegedly, and these door panels were destroyed. So yeah, and then of course there is also, like I was saying, this crazy hypothesis, or maybe not that crazy, that he was brainwashed to do it.
Yeah.
By the CIA.
Yeah, or took the fall, or
exactly
whatever the case. What, like, I mean, again, that's kind of like what the idea behind, fucking Oswald was,
Yeah. So I don't know. It's all very interesting, very suspicious, and I will say, however, though, like, Sirhan being Palestinian and RFK being such a huge supporter of Israel and wanting to send, these jets to Israel, and with it looking like he was about to be the next president, I could also understand that being a good enough reason why he would want to assassinate him.
I agree.
So I don't know, but
it's definitely, there's some fishy stuff about it, though.
There is some fishy stuff indeed. But if you want to listen to the podcast that I listen to, it is a TrueAnon episode, and it's just called Sirhan, and they go into all of this. And I don't know, man, after listening to it, I was like, fucking maybe.
It's
and I don't think that this episode is a Patreon episode. Let me just... Yeah, it looks like it's right on the SoundCloud, so you should be able to listen to it without the paywall. So check that out, and they go into like deep detail about all of the controversy and all of the theories and everything. So there you have it. And now we've got the son of RFK Jr. running for president. And he firmly believes that Sirhan was not the shooter, and that there was a big conspiracy to kill his father.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was just looking up. I thought that I had once heard about a game or like a simulator that was made, like reenacting the JFK shooting.
Oh my god! And
no one could like hit the shot.
Oh my god!
Lee Harvey Oswald had to have hit to be able to like do what he did. There was like no one that got it 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was looking up. So sorry, I was distracted there for a moment.
You're fine.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. I certainly don't want to just outright like believe conspiracy theories, and I'm not like saying that we should, but I am saying it's not outside of the realm of possibility that the American government would kill somebody on purpose.
I mean, absolutely. I mean,
they've done it before and they'll do it again.
Think about how many assassination attempts on like other world leaders we know about.
Exactly.
The American government doing, like,
they tried to explode Castro with a seashell.
With a seashell,
and an exploding cigar.
Like a ton of different
it's crazy.
Yeah, like attempts. So it's like, what about the assassination attempts that we don't know about? Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And again, we have empirical evidence and proof that they wiretapped people illegally, that they were following people. Like, again, MK Ultra proves that they were drugging people and like experimenting. So like, I don't know. Again, it's just like when you add it all up, it's one of those things I don't think we'll ever really know. Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing with the JFK assassination.
Sure.
It's like, we'll never really know if there was anything else behind it, but don't let it drive you crazy.
Yeah, don't let it keep you up at night.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to state, like, all that being said, a Palestinian man who literally, like, basically from the time he was 4 years old dealt with like the plight of being a Palestinian and like the war with the Israelis. Like, it's I can see why he would feel the motivation.
True. Yeah. No, I get it. And especially, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Which, like, again, when I was researching this, I was just like, how relevant?
Very.
Like,
And that's like one of the things too, is it's like as good, I suppose, as like of a presidential candidate as RFK would have been.
Yep.
It's like, I think it helps to kind of put in perspective the like true ignorance of really every president, right? Like you can have all these ideas. I mean, it's the same with like, I think of like Joe Biden, right? Like he did in theory, and in some ways he did certain things that weren't terrible things,
right?
But like, he also has ignored the genocide that's currently going on
and supported it,
Gaza, and supported
quite frankly.
it. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things that's like, obviously perfect, but again, presidents all kind of have blood on their hands
completely,
even if they are, again, like the best candidate or like the best option, or even like a relatively good candidate,
right? Well, and I think it's just also like important to look at things from a non-American point of view. Like, sure, from an American's point of view, RFK could have been a really great president, but from a Palestinian's point of view, they're like, what the fuck? This is going to lead to the death of us. And I mean, here we are,
Here we are.
And I just think like, I know it's endless to look into foreign affairs, and I don't know, but it's like, it is important to look at presidential candidates from like, okay, well, what would be the effect on other countries as well? Us, of course, but also what are their foreign policies like?
True. No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's like, as we've seen with Joe Biden, it's like, sure, he made a bunch of jobs for Americans with the Rebuild America Act, but
Build Back Better.
There's, Palestinian children who are being slaughtered by Israel. So, and again, we are witnessing a genocide currently happening.
Yeah, on my phone every day. There's literal videos, like, which I don't think that we've ever, like, I just think we haven't, like, I think we've said, like, things about it, but I don't know if we've ever, like, said directly, like, it's a genocide.
Yes, it is a genocide.
It's a genocide, and it's horrific and atrocious, and Netanyahu needs to, not...
Makes me so sad.
It's, like, unbelievably sickening.
Yeah. I know, and it's like, again, they're bombing hospitals, they're bombing schools. Like, Israel is, again, it's an ethnic cleansing. Yeah. And again, we're just chilling in America. At least the government is just chilling, being like, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, and they're like actively, like, not only are they funding this, but they're also, because fucking we have so many like weapon manufacturers in Israel and like oil and shit. Yeah. And they also are like beating living shit out of these protesters who are trying to advocate for Palestinian lives. They're like, God, I mean, I can't remember now what university it was, but it's
Cambridge?
Like, I mean, there's been multiple universities doing. I mean, we had a protest here at the University of Utah, and that was shut down in like an hour. They were like, fuck no. Cops showed up immediately and like, of course. Ripped people out of there.
Insane. And again, it really like, it makes me think like, it's, if it wasn't advantageous, like if America had more interests in backing like the Nazis, we definitely would have backed the Nazis.
No, exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter that they were, again, doing a genocide on Jewish people. Like, we would have backed them if it wasn't in our interest to join the Allies.
It's whatever is in the United States' best interest to remain a superpower. Yeah. And have control of, a giant armory, and have control of the most oil that we possibly can have control of.
It's always about money, dude.
It's a great country, and I love it here.
we have a good time. Anyway, well, RFK, man. Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson. Yeah. And a myriad of others that have been almost and successfully assassinated. Ronald Reagan is an honorable mention. It's crazy that like John Hinckley Jr. is like out of prison and just like posting YouTube videos of his songs.
I know.
Like just doing like cover songs and like posting original music on YouTube.
Wild.
It's so insane. Like you're the dude who tried to murder Ronald Reagan. Like it's so crazy.
One of the houses in my neighborhood, like their last name must be Hinckley or something because they have a little sign that's like the Hinkleys. And every single time I pass by it, I'm like, the Hinckley?
The Hinckley? I know. Which, you know, who can blame a man for wanting to kill Ronald Reagan or Jodie Foster?
Yeah, I
people?
certainly cannot blame him. I mean, I would want to kill Ronald Reagan as well.
Yeah.
I would never, ever
in Minecraft
do anything like that.
Yeah.
Last show recommendation, just because we got a little bummer at the end. What are we if not here to recommend you shows? But if you want to watch something that is nice but still informative, I am obsessed with this show called Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Yes.
It's so fucking good. It's this guy, I think his dad was a documentarian, and I believe he is a chemist.
Yeah.
I've probably recommended this show before, but he researches psychedelic drugs and plants, and just like goes deep into street users, into therapeutic uses, shamanic medicinal uses, like all of the things. Very respectful, I feel like, as an interviewer, and and just talks about cool chemistry behind psychedelic drugs.
Which is sick. We love that.
Yeah, and it's pretty, it's like, it's not stressful, it's not sad, it's like nice.
Just nice and informative.
And you're like, wow, that's really interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. Who knew PCP could do that?
So true.
Yeah.
But that's the pod.
That's the show. I
don't know if I really have any recommendations on my end.
That's okay, you had a few already.
Yeah, you know, there's a few things I
Pepper
recommend.
them in there.
I found an ASMR of Dr. Phil breaking up with you in the forest the other day on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you can look that up.
It's so specific.
And in the like title to it says like, and it escalates.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is, like,
I need to
crazy.
watch that because you sent that to our group.
So I guess I recommend that. I don't know.
Sure, if you want that. I mean, I think we should all have that experience.
Yeah, if you're into that, you know. It really harkens back to like it's 2008 and you're in your room playing Guitar Hero while your parents are getting divorced downstairs videos.
Yeah, it's
like
one
ASMR,
of those.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real like you had to be there kind of moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, I guess plugs.
Oh shit, right. Jesus. Follow us on Instagram at Remarks Podcast.
And Twitter is at Remarks Pod.
You can follow my Twitter if you wanna. It's at Phoebes Elise.
My Instagram is tlace_19.
Listen to Taylor's music.
Yes, I make music. It is just under my name, Taylor Lacey. And I think that's
all the pluggies.
All the pluggies and drink Spindrift. We'll do a random plug.
Listen, it's my favorite sparkling water. I only get the lime flavor.
The lime is so good,
It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm a lime bitch. I love lime flavors and limes in general. Love how they look. Love how they taste.
You know what could really make this go over the top? Throw in a little cucumber, baby. Cucumber lime.
And that's where I
We're bringing it back. Cucumber lime Gatorade supremacy.
I did bring up the cucumber limes. I was going to say something about you would have to suffer through drinking the cucumber lime Gatorade, but
I feel as though I'm a revolutionary supporting the cucumber lime Gatorade cause because I think they're refreshing as fuck.
And I think that makes you a fascist.
True, yeah. No, I'm forcing. That's my first order of business when I become president.
The only drink,
the only beverage available is cucumber, and there can be other like different companies that produce cucumber lime drinks and different kinds, but they all got to be cucumber lime.
I would just die. Yeah, I would dehydrate and die. I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, even your water, you got to put cucumbers and limes in it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, Thanks for listening.
We love you.
Okay, love you. Bye.